Hello, I am, looks like running a couple minutes late. I apologize for that. The kids had a half day today, so I'm hanging out in a trailer in our driveway. Hopefully it'll be more quiet out here. Okay, so today we get into all kinds of fun stuff about Upwork and what I think is one of the most important pieces. So I want to make sure everybody that's joining us has a chance to jump on. So I'm just going to hang here for a minute and let everybody that's coming get on board. As you join, please drop a hi in the comment section so that I know you're here with me. And if you're catching this in the replay, please just drop a replay in the comments so that I know that you are here, all right? Okay, just a couple more seconds. See who else is coming on board. One more sip of coffee. Okay. Well, I think let's go ahead and dive in for now. Okay, so today we are doing a deep dive into getting your profile set up. The most important tasks that you will do as you begin freelancing on Upwork. Your profile will be your first point of contact with potential clients. It will be how the Upwork algorithm finds you to recommend you for certain jobs. And initially, your profile is your entry into the Upwork platform as a whole, because you set up your profile as part of the application process. So it's super important to, maximize it to its fullest potential. So when it comes to Upwork, which of these three options best describes you? Number one, you have not yet applied to join Upwork. Number two, you tried to join Upwork, but your profile was rejected. Or number three, you've already joined and you've been accepted to the Upwork platform. Just drop which one of those applies to you in the comments. Okay. All right, so now for those of you that fall under option number three, congratulations. You've already crossed a big hurdle that a lot of people encounter, and you're a step ahead of the game. Now, we'll talk about optimizing your already existing profile in a little bit, but at first I want to dive into the whole initial application phase, since I know that that's where a lot of people get hung up. So your initial application form, oh, sorry for the sun. Your initial application form will require you to select and or fill out 4 items. So when you go to apply to Upwork, the first screen that you'll have is the application screen, and then your second screen will be the profile screen. So on the application screen, the first thing you'll have to reply to is what main services you're going to offer to clients. After you select your main service, then Upwork will auto-populate a new field where it asks you the types of work that you're going to provide that are related to that main type of service. Then you'll be asked what skills you offer and your experience level. So let's take a look at each of those individually. The choices that Upwork gives you for the main services that you can offer are web, mobile, and software dev, IT and networking, data science and analytics, engineering and architecture, design and creative, writing, translation, legal, admin support, customer service, sales and marketing, and accounting and consulting. So you'll have to choose one of those with which you want to set up your profile. The main service offering is kind of just a baseline. Once you're accepted into the Upwork platform, you can always change that at any time. But for when you're just getting started, it's best to, pick the one that you think is the most applicable for you. Some of these service areas are kind of saturated on Upwork, so it can potentially be harder to get approved to be a freelancer on the platform if your service falls within one of those fields. It's not impossible. You just have to, get a little creative and make sure that you're following the tips that we're going to be discussing. The two that are the most saturated right now, based on my personal experience and based on what I've heard around in some of the forums and with different freelancers I've talked to, are design and creative. So if you offer graphic design services, just be aware. Same with writing. Those two are both a little saturated. So you just need to make sure you're setting up your profile so that you stand out and so that Upwork sees your potential on their platform and that you won't be competing in this huge pool because of the unique skills or services that you're bringing to the table. So we'll be talking about that in just a minute. If you are operating within one of those services, you basically have two options. One that you can do is you can choose a different but complementary category and then update your profile through Upwork's specialized profile feature that they offer after you're accepted. And that specialized profiles lets you have multiple profiles that highlight different services and skills that you offer. So when you apply to a job, you choose which profile you want connected to that. It's a really nice feature. And it's also nice that they offer it because it does make it easier to get accepted. So if you're a freelance writer, you might want to choose something like admin support or sales and marketing, and then put writing as one of your skills, but it will ultimately make it easier for you to get accepted. If you don't want to do that, just make sure that you really optimize your application so that it is as robust as possible. So about 3 or 4 months ago, this is just a little insider hint here. I don't know how accurate it still is, but I just want to share it. About 3 or 4 months ago, Upwork sent an email out to a handful of their freelancers to let them know that they were looking to increase the number of customer service agents that they had as freelancers on the platform, so that they were running specials where if you recommended somebody, you would get, a commission or whatever. So I don't know if there's still as big of a need for customer service freelancers on Upwork, but that's just a little hint. If you're having trouble getting accepted, you might want to try using customer service as your main service offering and see if that helps you. So once you've decided on your main service offering, you'll need to select up to 4 types of work that you'll provide that are related to that offering. Now, Upwork will populate that field automatically for you. And what you want to do is you want to try and do up to the complete 4 that they'll allow you to do. The more well-rounded you show yourself as a freelancer, the more likely you are to be accepted. So they'll auto-populate that for you, and then you just pick the 4 that apply. There are a few, I don't remember which ones, but there are a few that only offer 3. So obviously, choose all 3 if they're applicable to you. I'm not encouraging you to lie or to make anything up. I'm just encouraging you to be, creative and show that you're well-rounded. So after you do that, you're going to have to enter your specific skills. And you'll get auto suggestions as you start typing. And you can choose up to 10 of these skills. So I recommend that you choose all 10. Ideally, the 10 skills that you select will be unique. But if you're struggling to come up with 10, don't be afraid to go broad and specific at the same time. So for example, if one of your skills is social media, you can also add Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and social media posts and social media design and social media content. So that way you have the broad skill as well as the more narrow skills, and you're filling out and being as robust as possible with the skills that you're listing. After that, you pick your experience level. I will say that it's harder to get accepted if your experience level is entry level, just because that's the biggest population on the platform. Now, just remember, just because you don't have freelancing experience doesn't mean you don't have experience. So don't feel like you have to go with entry level if you're just starting out as a freelancer, because it's the overall level of your skills, not your freelancing skills. So don't be shy to do the intermediate or advanced if you feel it's appropriate for you. Now, after you finish that first application screen, that's when you'll move on to the next screen, which is setting up your profile. This is where it gets kind of interesting, because this is the bulk of what clients will see. And it's also where you have the ability to be very creative and really put your best foot forward for both your potential clients in the future, as well as for Upwork itself. One thing to keep in mind is that the initial application process is automated by Upwork. It goes through an algorithm, and once you pass that algorithm, then it goes on and it's looked over by a human before you're accepted or rejected. There are some that will be rejected immediately based on what I've heard. This is just conjecture. I don't know this for a fact, but based on what I've heard, some profiles will be rejected right away through the algorithm just because they are too narrow or they offer very little skills in a field that's already oversaturated. So just to keep in mind that the application itself, as well as the profile, is really your opportunity to set yourself apart. Okay, so when you move on to the profile section, the first thing they're going to ask for is your photo. And as I mentioned yesterday, this has to be a real photo of you. It doesn't have to be a professional photo, but it has to be just you. So you can't have your kids in it or anybody else. You can crop yourself out from a photo if it still maintains its quality. Then the next thing is a professional title. This is a tricky one for a lot of people because it's the first thing that people will see about you. It's almost like your social media handle, and you know how hard that can be to choose sometimes. So what you want to do is you want your title to be as descriptive, but yet as memorable as possible. So Upwork has shared that they have learned that clients see a well-written title as an indication of a freelancer's expertise and quality. So obviously the clients do put a lot of importance on somebody's description or their title. So your title should be 10 words or less. I believe Upwork will let you do more than 10 words, but they've found that anything that's 10 or less is most well received. My personal title that I have on my profile is definitely not an example of best practices for the platform nowadays. I haven't updated it since I first set up my profile, and I'm kind of operating off of the if it works, why change it? But this is definitely a do as I say, not as I do, because it's horrible. What worked on Odesk back in 2011 is not what works on Upwork now. And as I said, I just haven't changed it because it's worked for me so far. It's a little embarrassing to even tell you what it is because it's so horrible. But my professional title on Upwork right now says pro blogger, freelancer, foodie, new media PR, and social media manager. It's all over the place. It doesn't describe me in any memorable way. It's just, I don't know why it's worked for me, but that's what it is. So my advice to you is to not have a professional title that's anything like mine. And if I were to change it, what I would probably use today is something along the lines of creative marketing manager, specializing in influencer and launch campaigns. So I threw in a little personal adjective there without being too overly generalized. I explained what I did. I used a couple of buzzy words. People are very interested in influencer marketing, so I made sure I included that. My suggestion to you would be to come up with 3 to 5 different options that you think you could use, and then share them with some people. If you're just getting set up, drop it in the group and ask people for opinions. So that way you get some feedback from somebody else that has a second set of eyes and can kind of help you see something that you might not be noticing. So the next thing then is your professional overview. And this is like the cover letter section or the introductory paragraph of a traditional resume. This is the most important piece of your Upwork profile. You are going to use this space to demonstrate your skills, your experiences, and your knowledge, and to show off your personality. This is the one opportunity you have before you send a cover letter to really stand out, both with Upwork itself and with potential clients, okay? So a lot of new freelancers writing this section can be a huge hurdle, especially if you feel like you don't have any transferable skills that apply to your service offerings. Totally get that. It's like writing an about me section or an autobiography of yourself. It's hard. But it doesn't have to be the case because you can use this space to explain yourself And you can tweak and maximize your overview as time goes on. So what you have today when you apply to the platform doesn't have to be what that section says 5 months from now, even 5 days from now. You can go in and, as you start working, as you see what other people are doing, you can make changes to yours as well. So overall, for your overview, creativity will go a long way. And one thing that you should be aware of is that only the first few sentences of your overview will appear when you show up in a client's search results or when they initially view a proposal that you submit on one of their job listings. It's the little sentence with the 3 dots after it, with an ellipses after it. So you want to make sure that you really pack a punch right in the opening of your overview. And some of my top tips for maximizing your overview as a whole. The first one would be talk about what you will do for clients more than you talk about the specifics of what you do, okay? So the for them is more important than the what. So for example, if you're a VA, a good opening sentence might be, I'm passionate about helping business owners and entrepreneurs minimize their involvement with daily mundane, time-intensive tasks so that they can focus on the most important aspects of building their empires instead. See how that's talking, it is including what you're going to do, the specifics of it, but it's talking more about how you're going to solve the client's pain points and how you're going to be an asset to them overall, and not just that, you're bringing the ability to take on these tasks to them. Okay, so it kind of reaches them on an emotional level as well as a logical and mental level. You want to write it as if the client is saying, what are you going to do for me? Instead of, here are the skills I can provide for your business. Does that make sense? The next thing you want to do is let your personality shine through. This is your opportunity to really build that human connection with any potential clients. So you're competing with thousands upon thousands of people on Upwork, and it's likely that at least 80% of those people in your same area of specialization have similar skills and similar levels of experience as you do. So Upwork clients are much more likely to hire based on who you are as opposed to what you do. Don't be afraid to throw in a sentence or two about you personally. Obviously, you don't want to be too familiar, but giving a little insight into who you are as a person goes a long way. One thing that I tend to always include in my profile is my love of coffee, or the fact that I like to run, or just a little tidbit about me that makes me stand out. And I've even had clients on a first interview call that will bring that up and be like, oh, you like to run, so do I. Or, so do you have a cup of coffee with you? I've gotten that one before too. It's just, putting a little bit of yourself in there to keep it from being so dry, and that will make you memorable. Now, a realization that I've had over the years is that clients are passionate about their businesses, their companies, their projects, whatever it is that they're coming to the Upwork platform to find somebody to work on with them. They want somebody who can embrace the same passion that they have on a personal level. That almost becomes more important than your skills or your experience, is that passion that you're going to bring to the job listing that they have. So you can use your overview to convey the message that you're client focused and that you are all in with your clients. You let them know that you're coming on board as a member of their team. Clients love that word, that you're a member of their team. They love to know that. And not just a contractor looking to check off to-do tasks or, another job that's going to earn them some money for a little bit of time. Let them know that you're all in. That will really help. If you're new to Upwork, but not to the work that you're doing, you can share a testimonial in your overview or specifics about client work that you've done and the results that you've generated. Don't be shy to hold back other work experience that you've had in your overview. Now, one thing that I've been doing over the past 24 hours is I've been having a lot of fun with this, is I've been putting together some different Mad Libs style templates, where you fill in the words, to help with writing your profile overview. And I'm going to put those in the Upwork course that I will be launching next week. So It's really cool. It just kind of helps you, gives you this template where you can fill in your personal details, and then places where you can personalize it and make it more robust and more fitting for you. Okay, so the next section, as you're filling out your profile, keep moving on here because I'm running up against time. I promised half an hour and I'm already at 20 minutes. Okay, so education. Now, here you want to include all of your education. And I'm not talking just your degree or your lack of degree, which I know a lot of people worry about. I'm talking courses, specializations, certificates, anything that you've done, even if it's an online course. Include all of that. If you've gone through let's say, as an example, Facebook Ads Manager, you can take a course about Facebook ads from Facebook. So that's a great thing to include. Let them know that you're always learning, always evolving, and that's what showing these different courses that you've taken will do for you, as opposed to just listing a degree or feeling like you're highlighting the fact that you don't have a degree. And you have to remember, like I said before, they're going to hire based on who you are, not on what you do. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So they want well-rounded people, okay? Next thing is employment history. Again, just like with education, you want to include everything here, as well as any volunteer work that you've done or any pro bono type work that you've done. Just list it all. Don't worry that you're putting too much. The more, the better, okay? And then the last thing on your profile that you're going to include is your English proficiency. Pretty self-explanatory. And then after that, the next step is setting your rates. Now, your rate is not set in stone, and Upwork will also give you a rate tip sometimes based on the skills and other things that you've submitted as to what they believe your rate should be. You can use that. It's a great base. You don't have to, though, okay? And also, the rate that you set when you sign up can change at any time. For that matter, your rate can change anytime as you're on the platform as well. I change mine all the time. So if you're struggling with what to set yours at, just put in something as a starting point and then adjust it later. And just so you know, the rate you have on your profile is not the rate you have to use when you submit a proposal. So let's say your profile says that your hourly rate is $50 and you see a great job that you'd be a good fit for, but they say they want somebody that pays $30, or that they're looking for somebody with a medium level of experience, and that they want a mixture of experience and value. And you think, well, they probably wouldn't want to pay $50 an hour. You can submit your proposal with $30 an hour or whatever you'd want instead. A good baseline starting point for your profile, if you just don't know what to set it at, is $25. Okay? There's no rhyme or reason to that other than that's what people do and that's what works. It seems to be a good starting point based on what I've heard, some of the rumors. Upwork likes to see a price point right around there because for them it means more money, obviously, because the more you're getting paid, the more they're earning from their fees. So you can take that or leave it, but that's just my advice. The next thing you'll need to do is select how many hours you have available to work each week. Your choices are more than 30, less than 30, or as needed. This is just for general availability. You won't be held to whatever you enter here. Upwork likes to know that the freelancers that are coming on their platform are available. So I'd recommend you choose either the more than 30 or the less than 30 and not the as needed. Because why would they accept you and if you're just can work as needed over somebody who is your exact equal but can work more than 30 hours? You know what I mean? So choose one of those two options. Ideally, choose the more than 30 unless you're dead set against it, and that will help you get accepted. You can change it at any time And Upwork is really, they put a lot of importance on you keeping your availability up to date. So don't hesitate or feel like what you put today is what it has to remain forever, because you can change it at any time. And so now you've done all those things. You've done your title, you've done your overview, you've done your education and your employment and your availability. The last thing you have to do is enter your address, and then you can submit. And once you submit your application, Upwork will usually reply to you within 24 hours, letting you know if you've been accepted or not. So I know this whole process can be really anxiety inducing for lots of people. It's definitely not easy, like I mentioned before. But I want to encourage you to remember that you can always make updates. None of the things in your profile are set in stone. You will be able to make tweaks and improvements as you go. And sometimes one of the best things you can do is get a second set of eyes and feedback on your overall profile before you submit it. I know I've always found feedback on profiles like this to be absolutely invaluable, because people know you from the outside, so they might see different characteristics that maybe you're missing, or they might think of a different way that you could word something that would sound more appealing to somebody else's ears as opposed to just your own. One of the 3 one-to-one review sessions that I'm going to be offering with my course is going to cover a session just focused on optimizing your profile, and we'll work together to get your profile as perfect as possible, okay? So now that we've gone through this quick overview of the whole setup process, I just want to remind you that just in case you don't get accepted on your first try, it is okay. All right? You can try again. I've interacted with freelancers that had to try 10 times before they got accepted. Hopefully that does not happen. I'm very confident that all these tips will absolutely help you. But just like the Facebook algorithm will show you whatever it wants in their feed, Upwork's algorithm will change, and it can be finicky. And there is no guarantee that even if you follow every one of these tips to the letter, that you will get approved. But it should absolutely give you an edge over people that don't have these tips, or that just, throw something together in 5 minutes and hope for the best. Okay, so that is that. Now, if you have, sorry, I've just been rambling, and I haven't even thought about if any of you have any questions or anything. So if you're on now and you have a question, please go ahead and drop your question in now so I can answer it for you. If you're catching the replay, go ahead and drop your question in, and I will address it first thing on tomorrow's show. I do have one question that was emailed in earlier from Lauren, who isn't going to be able to join us for the live session. She wanted to know how she should handle the fact that she has no work experience since she became a stay-at-home mom pretty soon after she graduated from college. So she went right from college to being at home. So for that, what I recommend, and I just helped somebody do this a couple weeks ago. She was in the same boat, except she'd been a stay-at-home mom for 25 years. So the work experience that she did have wasn't really applicable to today, and she just didn't know what to do or how to get started. So I will tell Lauren the same thing that I helped her to do, and that is focus on your personality traits and how they'll benefit your client or your potential client. You don't need to call out your lack of experience. You can. Now, one thing that I've done is, I believe when I first started, my overview even said this, is I'm new to the Upwork platform, but I'm not new to providing above board stellar experiences for my clients. Something kind of general like that. So it's the same principle here. You don't need to call out your lack of experience. It's just about being creative with how you frame the experiences that you do have, because just from living, you gained all these experiences that you can absolutely use as a freelancer and to work with clients. So for Lauren, what I would recommend is something along the lines of, I bring dedication, perfectionist tendencies, and a mastery of time management to all of my work. As a quick learner, I am capable of coming on board, getting up to speed quickly, and becoming an invaluable member of your team. So the client is seeing that this is somebody that's serious, that can help them doesn't highlight her lack of experience, but it shows more about who she is and what she brings to the table for the client. And like I've said a couple times, you will ultimately get hired for jobs on Upwork because of who you are, not because of what you do. Okay, so this is a great time where you can really use that who to your advantage. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any other questions right now, which is cool. And I just crossed the 30-minute mark. So let me just wrap up by telling you about our next sessions that we have coming up. Tomorrow, we will be discussing how to find legitimate clients, well-paying jobs, and the scam red flags that you should watch out for. Because as we all know, if you've ever heard about Upwork Online, you've probably been warned about scams. So we're going to cover that. Don't worry about it. We will make sure to keep you away from any of those potential scams, okay? So our focus will be on making the most of your Upwork connects so that you are not wasting time or money submitting proposals for jobs that aren't viable or that wouldn't be a good fit for you based on your own skills and experience. And then we'll take the weekend off and we'll come back on Monday and we'll dig into the fun process, which can sometimes be a little scary, of pitching yourself and submitting your first proposals. So that should be a lot of fun. And that is it for me today. And thank you to everybody that joined me. As I've said a couple times, if you're catching us on the replay, please drop a replay in the comment section. And for everybody else, I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow.